Hey, what's up you guys? The Curious Owl here, and today I have my July TBR. So, I am filming back at my house. It is way too hot to be upstairs though right now. We're currently in the middle of a heat wave here in the Midwest. And actually most of the US is in a really bad heat wave, so hope you're staying cool wherever you are. But we've got a jam-packed game today. I'm very excited to show you guys how this game went. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in to June's wrap-up going into July's TBR game.
Okay guys, so before we get into the actual TBR game, we have to go over last month's books and basically talk about whether they worked for just experience points or experience points and an attack against our copper wormling. So I did read 4 books over the course of the month. Only 2 of them actually are going to be for attack rolls. So let's see if we have any luck with that. I'm gonna assume probably not, and we're probably not gonna defeat the copper wormling this month, but hopefully maybe next month. We shall see. But the first book I ended up finishing was Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. This was a reread for me. This was a 527-page book, which gave me not only the ability to earn experience points, but also a point of inspiration to use in my TBR game for this month. So yay for that. Also, Crazy Rich Asians earned an additional 100 experience points because the cover was orange, red, yellow, anything like that, which was part of my tiefling skill for my character from last time. So it actually earned 260 points as opposed to just the 160. Then I read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Volume 1 Part 1, which was Phantom Blood, and this was also for the Roll for TBR game for the prompt with a lasting effect. So this will be for an attack roll, and I earned 130 experience points for that one. Then I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which was also a book for my Roll for TBR game from June, which was to read a book with fungi on the cover. So I do have an attack roll for that. And that one earned me actually 220 points because there was red on the cover of that. So it did use that tiefling effect as well. So actually, I just realized I said 4 earlier. I only had 3. Oops, my math was wrong, but that's okay. So we have 2 attack rolls though still that we can do. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to roll for attack. So my current total for experience points is at 1,920. So I am 80 points away from being able to finally level up to a level 2, which would be so fantastic. But if I end up defeating this copper wormling at any point in time, I earn 200 experience points right off the bat for killing it. So doubt we're gonna get there today. But definitely next month we should be able to, if I can make sure to read the TBR I get set for the month of July. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do our rolls for attack. So this first roll is going to be to see if we can attack with our book JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Volume 1 Part 1. We need to get at least a 16 or higher in order to be able to attack. So let's see if we can do it. That is a 7, so that's a no-go. And I do get to add my strength modifier to this. So a 7 though plus a 2 from last month is a 9, so that still does not work. But let's see if we can attack him with our other book, What Moves the Dead. That is a 12 plus 2 is 14, still not enough. So we have 2 big whiffs when it comes to this damn copper wormling. It's fine, everything's fine. But now let's move on to the actual TBR game. Okay, so for those of you that don't know how this game works, what we first do before we actually play the game is we figure out the race and the class of our character, which helps us to establish hit points and also the stats for our character. So taking a d6, I'm going to go ahead and roll for the race of our character, which is going to be number 1, which is a half-orc. The half-orc special skill is strength in numbers, so I can double the page count EXP for 1 book when it comes to my month of July. So 1 book can end up being double counted for the page counts, which can give me inspiration, a lot of EXP, things like that. So this will be really handy when it comes to the wrap-up for July going into the August TBR video. And now we roll for the class of our character, which is number 2, which is a druid. So we are a half-orc druid character. The druid special skill is health. I get to regenerate 1 book for full damage if it was not completed in the month. So when it comes to this basically means if I have a book that I got really close to finishing and I didn't finish it, but I want to be able to use it for my attack rolls for that month, then I can regenerate it, if you will. See if it attacks. If it does attack, it would basically go full hog, full damage, and we would go from there. So this will be, again, more suited for the end of the month wrap-up kind of thing, going into the August TBR, but still a good skill to have nonetheless. All right, so we have got our class and our race. Got my character here I'm going to put on my Hobbit door, and we're going to figure out the stats and the HP counter for the month. Okay, so I've got the stats figured out for our half-orc druid. So what we have currently is a strength of 17 with a +3 modifier, dexterity with a 12 with a +1 modifier, constitution at 16 with a +3 modifier, intelligence 12 with a +1 modifier, wisdom 10 with a 0 modifier, and charisma with a 9 and a -1 modifier. So now what I have to do is take a D8, and I'm going to essentially take whatever I roll with the D8 and add 3 to it with my Constitution modifier to get the amount of hit points for my character. So we're going to actually roll this and not use what I just dropped. So let's see what we get. That's a 3 + 3 is 6. Fantastic. A low hit point count. Love that for me. That seems to be my luck when it comes to this game, but it's fine. Everything's fine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first roll for July's roll for TBR. Let's see how this half-orc druid goes. Okay, 2. 1, 2. Right off the bat, we get some gold. And we get 32 gold pieces. If that would focus and show it, would be great. There we go, 32 gold pieces. So that's a nice little break for us, and we get some gold in there. No prompts necessary. Let's see what our next roll is going to involve. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Orange, and that is wisdom. A suspicious merchant insists his potions are completely safe. So for this, I have to roll a 10 or higher, and if I win, I get a +2 to my wisdom, which would be great because it's at a 0 right now, modifier at least. And if I lose all my hit points. But the thing with the half-orc, okay, if you know anything about D&D, the half-orcs don't actually fully die the first time. They go down to 1 hit point, and then they can, like, try to regenerate, basically. So this might not work out as badly as I think, but it's still going to be pretty bad. So then the prompt that we have for reading, if this will focus again, the prompt we have is read a book that is not normally your taste. So probably going to be a nonfiction or something, because I'm not really much into nonfiction, but there's always a memoir I could read, which I tend to do well with those. So, but that is our first prompt for this month. Or historical fiction, except when it comes to historical fiction, if I find a Kristen Hanna, that usually works pretty well for me because I like Kristen Hanna more than most fiction or historical fiction writers. Okay, so now we need to roll at least a 10 with a 0 modifier, so I don't get any help with this one. So come on, dice, please help me out here. 18! Yes, I will take it. So that means we get to add 2 to our wisdom, which puts me at a 12 with a +1 modifier. Love that for me. Okay, here we go. This is good. All right, let's see what our next roll is going to be. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is purple charisma. A cleric of a truth-obsessed deity accuses you of withholding information. If I roll a 14 or higher, I earn Bless for 1 attack on an enemy. So Bless basically means I would get a D4 on top of my attack roll. So that would basically hopefully help me with my attack roll. If I lose though, then that means that the next enemy attack that happens, I would automatically lose on that one. I would take the full amount of damage that they would get. And for this, we have to read a book with an unreliable narrator. All right, so we need a 14 or higher. My charisma is a -1. Of course it is. Of course it is. So let's see if we can get at least a 15. 6. -1 is 5. So if I come across an enemy attack at any point, I automatically will lose it. If, like, for instance, it's a setup where, like, if I lose a place where I would have to have an enemy attack happen, I would automatically lose that battle. So this is something that'll happen like later on, but it is worth to note because it will become important later on in the game. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll for the next thing. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Silver, which is intelligence. In an abandoned warehouse, the character pieces together scattered clues. So for this, I can roll a 13 or higher to earn 5 points of intelligence, which would make my half-orc druid like super freaking smart. But if I don't do it, nothing bad happens, which is good. So we get a little bit of a break from this if we do not do if we don't do a 13 or higher. And for this, we have to read a thriller. Now, my intelligence does have a modifier of +1, so we would need at least, what was it, a 13? So we would need a 12 or higher for this to work. And that is a 2 + 1 is 3. So thankfully, though, nothing bad happens. We don't have any attacks, we don't have any problems with this. We just kind of skip over it. Let's go ahead and roll again. 3. 1, 2, 3. Another wisdom, which now that we've kind of banked up our wisdom will be good. A magical tome whispers enticing secrets into your mind. Oh no. Roll 6 or higher and we can add 3 to either wisdom or constitution, but if we lose 7 hit points and my character dies. Oh dear. Oh dear, but for this we have to read a 5-star prediction. Okay, so for this, we need to get at least a 5 because now with my new modifier, I have a little bit more breathing room. So we need a 5 or higher. Let's go, come on. 9 + 1 is 10, perfect. So that means we get to add 3 to either wisdom or charisma, I think. What was it? It was wisdom or constitution, sorry, not charisma. Okay, so my constitution already is at a 16. My wisdom is at a 12. I think I'm going to bump up my wisdom a little more. So we're going to go up to a 15, which would put me at a +2, I believe. I think that's at a +2 modifier, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that would be right. Okay. All right, so now we've just bumped up our wisdom again, which will be very helpful for us in the future. So let's see what we get. 5. 1, 2, whoops, wrong way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Green, nature and medicine, which this is going to deal with wisdom again. So it's probably good that I bumped this one up. Herd of normally peaceful beasts stampedes through the forest. Oh no, this is where the enemy attack's going to come in. So we have to roll a 7 or higher to avoid the enemy attack. And if I lose, that attack gets the full gambit. So I likely will die in this if I get the enemy attack. But for this we need to read a book with a monster or animal in the cover or the title. Okay, so now with my modifier of +2, we need at least another 5 to be able to pass this and avoid the enemy attack. So we've got some wiggle room. Let's see if this is gonna work. 14 + 2 is 16. Yes, we avoid the enemy attack. Thank the Lord. Okay, I will take it. I am so very happy about that. All right, let's continue. 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Ooh, okay, we haven't had this in a minute. So this is an attack. This is an attack on our monster. So how this works is I get a prompt that is for a specific type of book. And if I read that book in the month, I not only get to use that book as an attack roll on the monster, but it gives double the amount of damage that it normally would based on the page count of the book. So the prompt we have is a mood read. So I can literally pick anything for this and it will count. And if I can finish it in the month, I will be able to use it for double damage, which is super exciting. And honestly, with my half-orc ability, I may even do it where it's one where I could also double the amount of page count experience I could get from it, which would be pretty cool. So this is a pretty exciting one. We'll see how this pans out by the end of July. All right, with that, let's go ahead and roll for our next one. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So another orange, which is wisdom.
Your companion collapses from poison. So this is thankfully a nicer one. So I have to roll a 12 or higher to basically add 4 to my wisdom, which is nature and medicine based. So like wisdom is within the nature and medicine realm. So, but if I don't do well, nothing bad happens. And this is having to read a book that involves saving someone. And again, wisdom, we have a +2 modifier with that. So I need at least a 10 to be able to get this to work. So again, some wiggle room. Let's see what we get. 5 + 2 is 7. So unfortunately we lose a companion in our campaign, but nothing bad happens to us, which is good. We just unfortunately lose a friend, which unfortunately is kind of the thing in Dungeons and Dragons. Alright, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Silver, which is intelligence. A mural in a forgotten temple depicts a mythic battle. Now, this is more where we have to figure out what this is about. So if I roll a 7 or higher, I can get 1 to my intelligence, and if I don't, then nothing bad happens. But for this, we have to read a fantasy. All right, so we need a 7 or higher, and I have a +1 modifier, so a 6 or better. Let's see if we can do it. 5 + 1 is 6. So that basically means I get to add 1 to my intelligence, which puts me at a 13, which gives me still a +1 modifier, which is fine. But our intelligence has gone up a little bit. We know what the mural is all about. We know what mythic battle it depicts. So that's great. So let's roll again. 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Nature and medicine. Party member is bitten by an unknown creature in the underbrush. Man, you guys are just not really looking out for each other, are you? So for this, we need to roll a 6 or higher to add 1 to our constitution, or we lose 5 hit points, which would almost kill us, but not quite. And for this, we have to read a book that is slower paced for you. So that means something that feels like it's going a lot slower in a genre that takes me a little bit more time to read, something like that. So I need a 6 or higher with my modifier of 2, so I need at least a 4 to get this one. 12 + 2 is 14. Great. All right, so we earned, what was it? 1 to Constitution? Yes. We earned 1 point to our Constitution stat. So that brings us up to a 17 with still a +3 modifier, which is fine, but it has gone up a little bit. Boy, this game's going a lot better than I expected, and I really hope I just didn't jinx it for myself. That's a 2. 1, 2. Silver. Intelligence. A stone door is covered in shifting symbols. Ooh, okay, so if I can roll a 15 or higher, I get 150 gold. And if I don't, nothing bad happens. But for this, I have to read a mystery. So again, +1 modifier, I need at least a 14 to make this work and earn 150 gold. But thankfully, this is still a good one, so nothing bad will happen if I don't make it. That's a little cocked. I'm not gonna take that, and we're gonna re-roll. 4, okay, +1 is 5. So, didn't make it. But I'm not gonna use my inspiration on this because this is a silly thing. Nothing bad's going to happen without it, so we'll just move on. I really want to save my inspiration for, like, if something really bad happens and I want to re-roll. Like, if I get attacked or something like that. I really want to, like, save that for absolutely the last thing. Okay, and Nat 1, which brings me to another attack card. So the prompt for this attack is to read a book that was a recommendation from someone. Okay, the battery is dying, so I need to switch out my battery real quick, and I will be right back. Okay, we are back. Took a little bit because I had to basically charge the camera battery. So let's go ahead and get started back with where we were, which was just our next roll. 2. 1, 2. Yellow, which is dexterity. You attempt to pickpocket the key ring from a distracted jailer without being noticed. So I have to roll a 15 or higher, and then I can earn 2 to dexterity or lose 5 hit points. The prompt for this is steal a book. So steal it off of somebody else's TBR for July. So I need a 15 or higher. My dexterity is currently with a modifier +1. So I need a 14 or higher for this. So, whoop, there goes my scrunchie. Let's see what we can do. 13 plus 1 is 14. Yes! So, that means I get to add 2 to my dexterity, which puts me at a 14, which puts me at a +2 modifier. Fantastic. We are doing so well in this game. I honestly would be okay if we stopped there, because this is a very long TBR as it is. But it is my birthday month, so maybe this will be a good month for me to be getting back in the swing of things. Alright, 3. 1, 2, 3. Another dexterity. A street performer challenges you to a dagger throwing contest. Okay, so for this, if we can roll a 14 or higher, we'll earn 70 gold and another point of inspiration. But if we lose, nothing bad happens, which is good. So this is a book that cuts to the bone. Ooh, so something's going to be really hard hitting. Okay, so for this, I need a 12 or higher this time since I have that new modifier. So let's see what we get. 17 plus 2 is 19, so we're good. So we earn 70 gold, and we earn another point of inspiration. So I have currently 102 gold and 2 points of inspiration, which I have not had to use yet, which is good. Those inspiration points can carry over into the next months because it just kind of works out that way, where they're something that you kind of bank away after some time. All right, let's see what our next roll is going to be. 17 again, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Green, which is nature or medicine. Uh-oh, this one doesn't look good. I saw death on here. Crossing a freezing mountain pass, the party struggles against exposure. This is the card that took me out the last time. What the heck? So for this, I have to roll a 14 or higher to continue the game, or it's immediate death. And this, there is no coming back from this. This is not with the half-orcs specialty of like going down to 1 hit point and then being able to continue. No, this is just immediate death. But this is a book that has winter colors. So nature and medicine is wisdom based, so I have a +2 ability, so I need at least a 12 to get past this. But this is literally what killed me the last time. So will we get past it this time with this new character? I don't know. Let's see. 3 plus 2 is 5. Nope, that's it. The mountain pass strikes again, and our character is now dead, which, honestly, this is, I think, the furthest I've ever gotten on the board. Like, this is well into halfway territory, and I have a lot of books slated on this TBR, so you know what? I'm not mad about it. I've got 2 attack cards. I've got a lot of great prompts to pick from. This is going to be an interesting TBR, so let's go ahead and go get all the books figured out, and we'll talk about what we're gonna read for this month. So yeah, I officially made it through just about halfway through the board this time for the first time ever. This was some really, really good rolling. I'm still flabbergasted about how this game went, but I don't know. I'm just happy that I managed to have a lot more of a actual campaign with this character than I did previous games, so I can't complain. So let's go ahead and go over all the prompts that I got for this month. So one thing I will say is that most of my TBR is going to be carryovers from June, because there were a lot of books I was really excited to read in June. I just did not get a chance to, and they were completely outside of my roll for TBR game, but they were still things that I was like, I want to try to fit them in best I can, and I managed to do so. So with that, the first prompt we had was a book that was not normally your taste. So I decided to go a little bit more of a nonfiction route, and I decided to go with the book Educated by Tara Westover. I have heard some pretty good things about this, especially with going into being my first year of teaching this year. I feel like this is a really important read for going into that first year, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it though, because again, I don't really care for nonfiction so much, but I've heard some good things about this, so we shall see. Next is to read a book with an unreliable narrator. So for this, I decided to go with You by Caroline Kepnes, because this is a book I thought I at least had physically, but I don't know where it went. And I feel like this is one that's been recommended to me so many times, especially for an unreliable narrator story, and I've just been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So we're gonna finally get through this one, and then if I like it, maybe continue the series and then maybe watch the show, because I've heard the show is fantastic.
Next is to read a thriller, and for this I'm doing a carryover from last month where I had A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson on the TBR and I just did not get to it, so we're going to carry this one over to the thriller for this month. The next book we had was a 5-star prediction, so for this one I'm deciding to go with China Rich Girlfriend, which is the second book in the Crazy Rich Asians series. I reread Crazy Rich Asians for the first time in several years this past month in June. It was one of my extra books, I think, outside of my role for TBR, and I absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed reading it, and so it's kind of put a fire in me to finish the series, and I'm actually genuinely interested because I retained a lot more information about what happened in this book than I did the first time, and so I think it's a good opportunity for me to get the rest of the series done. Next, we're going to have a monster or animal in the cover or title, and for this I went with My Demon Hunter, which is again a carryover from June. I mentioned it as like outside of my role for TBR game, but I did decide to throw it in for this one because I've been meaning to get back into this series and I really want to, so I'm hoping that this month will be the month that I do it. Next is an attack card, which I'm super excited that I have multiple of these in this month. So this first one was a mood read, which for this I decided to go with the third and final book in the Crazy Rich Asians series, Rich People Problems, which again, as I said before, I'm trying to finish this series off, so this kind of just worked out really well that I could throw this one on there as well. Next is a book where you have to save someone. This one I had a harder time with figuring out what to do because obviously with being at my parents' house, I don't have access to all my books and I can't necessarily like go through each one of them at my leisure. And so I went through and just scrolled through on Libby for audiobooks, and I found one that I think kind of fits this, and it is called The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Reluak, something like that. It's this book. Most people will recognize it because it was really big on TikTok for a little bit, but what I understand of this one is that the dad is like becoming reconnected with his daughter after so many years of estrangement, and he's finding that at the wedding that she's holding, that the family she's marrying into may not be all they seem to be. So he's kind of, I think, trying to like save her from them. So it sounds interesting, but we'll see how that goes. Next is to read a fantasy book, and for this I decided to go with Daughter of Sparta. This is a carryover from June, and I've been really excited to read it because it sounds really interesting. I just don't know much about it, and I managed to lose my hold on it, so I'm waiting for the hold to come back in, which should be soon. Next is to read a slower paced book, which for this one I'm going with my reread of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Classics tend to be slower paced for me, where it takes me a lot longer to get through them than most other books, even nonfiction. And though this is a reread for me, I think I'll still be kind of taking my time with it because I think that there's a lot with this one I would like to revisit in terms of themes and in terms of like aspects that I want to kind of think on more, especially looking at how very different either the book is compared to now or how similar it still holds up. So this was also a carryover though from June, and I'm just excited to dive back into this because this is my favorite Jane Austen novel that there ever has been. Next is to read a mystery, and I actually finally have a physical copy on hand because some of my copies are back at my parents' house and the rest I'm having to read as audiobooks. But this one I'm gonna go with The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is a book I've had for a long time and I just needed something quick and easy that would fit the prompt, and I know this one was a really popular one for a while, so we'll see how this one goes. Next is another attack card, which this one is a recommendation. So this could be a recommendation from friends, family, YouTube, or social media of any kind. And for this one I decided to go with The Cruel Prince by Holly Black because again, this book has made the rounds on BookTube, Book Talk. It's been recommended by every person I have heard talk about fantasy. So I think it's time that I finally read this, and I was going to read it in June, but I didn't have time. So we're hoping that this month we'll finally get to be able to start this series. Next is to steal a book from somebody else's TBR. So for this, I ended up going off of Library Unbounded's TBR game for June, which basically is kind of cheating because you're supposed to do the same month that you're doing, but we're going to count it because she posts her videos so late in the month. And so this one, I decided to steal one of the books off of her TBR, which was Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I've been meaning to start this series after finishing Assassin's Apprentice series, basically, the first series in the world of the Realm of the Elderling. And I've been nervous because that series took me out. It was so emotionally, like, a lot, and I've heard that the series, like, as they go, just get like also like really emotional, and especially when we return to Fitz later on in another series, that it's just even more heart-wrenching. And so I've been kind of like hesitant to get into it, but I've heard Ship of Magic is really, really good, and the series The Live Ship Traders is very well done and a very different kind of pace than the Assassin's Apprentice series. So we'll see. This is a chunker though, so this will take me some time, but I'm excited nonetheless because I do enjoy Robin Hobb's writing a lot. Next is the book that cuts to the bone, so something that really hits hard for whatever reason, and for this one I decided to go with Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. Now, this will be a reread for me, but the reason I picked it for this is because with the fact that I have such very faint Native American ties, it really hits hard about the idea of the lack of identity when especially you are someone who is mixed race. So someone who is, like, for instance, in this book, the main character is Native American and white, and how in some ways she is not Native enough and in some ways she's not white enough. And as someone who is a very diluted Native American person, that hits really hard in a lot of ways because I don't feel like that I have enough of the blood in me to really be seen as a Native American person. I definitely don't look it, and I also though wish and want so badly to be able to be exposed more to the culture that there is within my family line, but unfortunately I am in a position where I don't really have access to that. So it's kind of one of those things where I relate in some ways to this enough that it really kind of digs deep at me, and so I feel like that this is a good one. Plus I want to reread this because the newest book came out in September of last year, and I want to be able to get through the first 2 books again to get into the 3rd book and then prepare for what book 4 will be, which I think comes out sometime next year if I'm not mistaken. And finally we have a book that has winter colors. So I kind of cheated with this one because the book takes place in the summer, but it's got like the light blues and whites that you would find in winter. So, but we're gonna go with it, and that is The Castaways by Ellen Hilderbrand. This was a book I was wanting to read in June and I didn't get to it, so I'm carrying it over again. But this is a story where it's going to be pretty emotional and very interesting how it's going to play out. It's got some mystery elements to it because it follows the story of this couple who had this marital issue. I believe that the husband cheated on the wife, and they decide to go off on this vacation for their wedding anniversary after everything kind of blows over, and then they mysteriously drown. And what happens then is that 6 different people that are connected to this couple in some way kind of break apart because everyone is questioning what exactly happened to this couple. Nobody really knows what happened, but it causes this rift between these 6 people, and then they come back together later to try to not only figure out maybe what happened to them, but then hopefully to rebuild some bridges that may have been burned in the past. So there's a very strong mysterious element to this. I really liked that with Ellen Hilderbrand's book Golden Hour. I thought that that was really interesting. It's not mystery in the sense that it's like something that a thriller mystery person would really enjoy, but it's just enough of a hint of it in a contemporary story that I think would get people interested if they're not so interested in mystery thrillers or they're not used to mystery thrillers. This is a really good bridge book between that contemporary and mystery thriller area because there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of digging around and figuring out what's happening. So I think that this would be a really good way for someone to get into it just based off the synopsis. So anyway, that is the whole TBR that I've got. I've got 2 of the books right here, but otherwise I've got 14 books to read in the month of July, which is a lot. I don't have anything school-wise going on. I have to sign my contract on the 7th, which is the only thing I have to do, but I don't know if I'm going to get through 14 books. I really have no idea, but regardless, I am excited because I have a lot of opportunities to get through some stuff. I am getting back in the swing of reading more often after especially this last few weeks of my healing and all these things that I've been going through and dealing with, but I am interested to see how this month goes. So let me know if there's anything in this TBR that you guys have read that you would recommend or that you would like to share some thoughts on. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe, become an ally in our flock. and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys.